go, 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 go. That's the birthday. That's the birthday.
Yo, ZPac! This episode is made possible by the generous sponsorship of Athena Health. Athena Health partners with hospital and ambulatory clients to drive results. They offer network-enabled medical record, revenue cycle management, patient engagement, care coordination, and population health services to build Health 3.0. Yo, get back to the work you love doing. Athena Health. Free up.
It was all a dream. I used to cauterize them GI bleeds. What's up, Z-Pack? It's your boy, Z-Dog MD. I come with interesting news. Number one, we were going to have Sunrise Hospital physician, Dr. Scott Scher, head of the ER over there, on the show to talk about the shooting and the aftermath and how they're managing the mental well-being of staff. Unfortunately, he got caught in a crisis because he's an emergency doctor and has to reschedule. So we were like, what are we going to talk about? And unfortunately, Tom convinced me to talk about something that I have flatly refused to talk about before, even though 1,000 people have messaged me this anesthesiologist rant on the physician's social media site, Doximity, which I'm on, but I never look at because who needs a physician's social media site? Come on, guys. Let's be honest.
That is a terrible fucking name. Doximity?
Yeah.
Fuck you.
We're going to be cursing. We're going to be cursing.
That's
Listen,
the worst.
Doximity are my friends. They are friends of the show. Their marketing people are very nice. However,
I love your Doximity. I would never talk bad about potential sponsors. Change your name, please. Good God. Terrible.
Exactly. You should call yourself like MySpace, because that's how that goes. Anyway, so motherfuckers be sending me this on repeat. Say something about this Z-Dog, silent no more, this doctor is an asshole, this and that and the other thing. And I'm like, then why are you sharing his shit? All you are doing is continuing this conflict mindset between members of a healthcare team that should be a team where everybody practices at the top of their training and their education and their experience. Now, we can talk about what that means, and the fact that this guy may have been an asshole in how he talks about it doesn't mean that we can't talk about it. But why should we celebrate stupid ass comments? And if the goal is to shame this guy, he does it himself by posting on what's a public forum a rant that really should have been phrased in a way that didn't piss off every single person in the world, except for a whole bunch of doctors, it turns out. Because there are some secret groups on Facebook, of which I am privy to, and the doctors on there, a lot of them agreed with the premise of what he was saying. So why? And let's have the conversation. I mean, by the way, Tom, I won't read this guy's shit. I won't even say the guy's name because I don't think he's worthy of the comment.
No, I think we're in agreement here. Like, I don't think that we should say that this guy's name is David Glenner and he's an anesthesiologist. That would just be inappropriate, you know?
It's terrible.
Because we'd be giving him, some publicity, and we don't want to do that, see? No. We don't want to talk about David that way.
So you wouldn't say that he's in Florida and is at Florida State University, academic faculty?
Good God, I would never say that, and I would never even begin to read his comment where he said, and I quote,
"Oh, I would never do that.
You can be competent nurse practitioners, but you are still not physicians. You are subordinates. If you are so proud of being NPs, why do you allow patients to call you doctor? And you don't correct them? You think it's cute to be Dr. Susie or Dr. Brian? Ever see a CRNA in the operating room when something goes wrong? They freak out and scream for the anesthesiologist whenever something does not go according to plan. And before you claim I am sexist, my sister is a physician and so is my daughter, and they both agree with me. Nurse practitioners are not, I repeat, not physicians. They lack the education, IQ, and clinical experience. There is no depth of understanding. They are useful, but only as minions. Not politically correct, but true. Why would you want your family member seen by a nurse practitioner, or would you want them seen by a physician? David Glenner, anesthesiologist.
D to the jizzle. Just laying it down, making the medical profession look tight, building that Health 3.0, laying it down. Thank you for that. God damn it. Really? Look, I don't care how you feel about nurse practitioners and their scope of practice. saying it in that way makes you an asshole. And it turns out there are people who know him who've reached out to me who said, yes, he's a bit abrasive. You think? And so on and so forth. So, look, all that aside, why do we even talk about this shit? Because to me, it's divisive, it's stupid, it's petty, and it comes from a place of insecurity, not just on the doctor's part, but on the nurse practitioner's part. Because if nurse practitioners have their particular brand of training, which is the nursing model. It's a different brand of training. It's more holistic. It's also less extensive. So if a doctor trains for a minimum of 10,000 hours to achieve mastery of what it is they're doing, the nurse practitioner may be more in the 600 to 1,000 hour range, depending on the thing. And of course, through experience, you can get up easily to 10,000, but it's going to take out of school experience to get there. So they are different models, different educational experiences. To talk about IQ is just irrelevant. It's not about IQ, it's about your training, your capability, and can you do the job. Like, I tell you, I know a lot of doctors who I'm pretty convinced are developmentally delayed by IQ, but they're tremendous doctors because they do the job and they're trained well and they actually have good intuition. And the IQ smarts aren't there. Now, I know people with very high IQs who do really well in certain aspects of medicine, but their bedside manner is shit. And so why are we even bringing IQ into it? The second thing is the word minions. All right, look, that's not a derogatory term anymore, right, Tom? Because they made whole movies about these guys.
And they're hella cute, and they say things like, banana,
banana, banana, banana, banana. So, look, here's my take on this. People are like, Z-Dog, support the nurse practitioners. And no, I'm not going to. What I'm going to say is I oppose a guy being an asshole to other members of the healthcare team. Now, you can talk about the fineries of what the scope of practice should be. And there are a lot of physicians who believe that nurse practitioners should not practice without collaborating with a physician in a supervisory role. And that's not a discussion I'm going to wade into right now, but what I'm going to say is there are distinct differences. And again, the last time we had this conversation, I pissed off pretty much every doctor on the planet because I said, I think nurse practitioners should practice at the top of their license. Well, what is that saying? Is that saying they practice unsupervised? It's saying practice at the top of their education and training and what their license will allow them to do. Now, where I think doctors get very butthurt about this, and I think there's an understandable component of this, is that they do a lot of hours of experience and training to manage those cases that nurse practitioners would not be able to manage based on the training that they get. And so when nurse practitioners want to practice without supervision, when they get a doctorate and then they refer to themselves as doctor, physicians get very upset because they put in this many years of training and they feel like their training matters to make that difference in the two sort of approaches. Here's my take. Nurse practitioners do what they do very, very well. They have a very empathic and connected approach to patients, and that works for a lot of stuff. Now, the stuff that it doesn't work for, it's sometimes hard to predict when that's going to show up. And that's when the doctors who see a lot of cases that come from a nurse practitioner, the stuff that's missed, they say, well, it's the subtleties that extra training allows you to intuit and pull out and actually recognize. And sometimes that can be a life-threatening issue. And so that is why I think many physicians, and I don't think this is unreasonable, say nurse practitioners practice as part of the team at the top of their training and their abilities, but don't do it without physician collaboration and supervision. Now, in a setting where we have physician shortages and we have caregiver shortages, are we shooting ourselves in the ass by not allowing nurse practitioners unsupervised reign over practices because they could then take care of rural patients, et cetera? And that's a question for policymakers and stuff. The problem is policymakers aren't on the front lines making clinical decisions. Doctors and nurse practitioners are. And so we should have these discussions in a friendly, cohesive, team-oriented way. This is what fucking happens when it doesn't go that way. And that's why I didn't want to talk about this, because All it does is it sets doctors against nurses, and then you're going to see in the comments, because this happens every single time, some nurse practitioner is going to say, I'm always saving a doctor's ass, and they're dumbasses, and I'm at least as good as them, and I get plenty of training. And then some doctor's going to come in and be like, nurse practitioners have killed patients, and I've seen it, and they think they're all that, and they need to stay in their place. And how is that anything but establishing their own insecurities on both levels? If you're a doctor and you're that insecure about your shit that you have to attack nurse practitioners, you need to look at your own shit, because it means you're practicing at the bottom of your license, right? And you're worried that other people are going to practice at the top. And if you're a nurse practitioner who thinks they're a doctor, fuck you, because you're not. You don't have the same training as a doctor, and you know it, and the doctors know it. Does that mean you can't practice amazing care within the scope of what your training is? No. Does that not mean that you may have a better intuition and bedside manner than a lot of doctors? Sure. But you cannot say you're the same as a doctor, and you cannot have the same scope of practice. It's just a fact of the world. It should not be a dominator hierarchy where the doctors are here and the nurse practitioners are here. It should be a collaborative holarchy where some people have a little more shades of knowledge, and some have more skills on the other side, especially in the nursing model. And then you throw the PAs in, and they have skills in the medical model that are very different. And we can all work together to build 3.0. We can love each other and be friendly and have compassion towards each other without being fucking dicks. That's what I think. I don't know.
Damn. You guys remember that time that Z-Dog told all the nurse practitioners to fuck themselves?
No.
It happened 3 seconds ago.
It wasn't? Yeah.
And,
no. Did I do that?
I was watching it and I was like, this is probably not a good thing to say, Z-Dog MD.
I didn't really say that, but you know the last time this went down, Tom? Do you guys remember this? The last time we talked about nurse practitioners, I had Mrs. Dog on the show, and we were supporting, again, practicing at the top of your license in a collaborative model, and we were criticizing the bullying that can happen both ways. Well, a whole bunch of doctors started attacking me, coming onto the page and taking a shit on me, and I went on an expletive-laced rant where I told them that they were basically seagulls who fly in, take a shit, and fly out without knowing all the work we do to support all of us in healthcare, especially doctors, and I told them to go fuck themselves. And so anybody who behaves this way can fuck themselves, because this is not what we're about. And why do we curse? Because it feels good. Why do we curse? Because we're off service right now, and we're here in the lounge, right? Talking shit. And we can do that because we're friends and we're family, people. We're the family of healthcare. We are the tribe. We can love and respect and lift each other up instead of what this dipshit is doing in anesthesia and pushing people down. And look, maybe he's right about the scope of practice. That's fine. The way he's talking about it is demeaning, it's belittling, and he frames it as, well, we don't want to be politically correct anymore. It's not political correctness, it's being a fucking asshole. Don't be an asshole. That's why I didn't want to share his shit. Why reward a fucking dipshit asshole, right? Even if you agree that he's right, that there is this difference in scope of practice, why reward that kind of behavior? And we already have, so fuck.
I agree with you. Can I tell you a story? I don't know
Please.
if I ever told you this. So my wife is a nurse, and she's actually training to be an NP right now. And she was pre-med, and she went through the MCATs, and she did the interviews, and she got in. And then she decided she didn't want to go because she didn't want to be a doctor. She didn't want to be on the charts all day. She wanted to actually help people. And so she became a nurse. And my father, who's a very successfully minded person, is always kind of needling her slightly about, like, you sure you don't want to go back and become a doctor? Like, you could do it, like, blah, blah, blah. And she doesn't want to be a doctor. She wants to be a nurse. It would have taken too much out of her life to go become something she didn't really want to be anyway. So she became what she wanted to be. And it really infuriates me when people look down on her for her choice.
See, this to me, and listen, this was actually directly addressed in a comment that followed that original doctor's comment on Doximity. Another doctor, a female doctor, wrote in and said, yeah, absolutely, they think they're all that and this and that, and if they think they could have gotten into medical school, then go prove it. And what you're saying is, yeah, some of them actually have, and they made this choice to train in a different model, to approach caring for other people a different way, and that's something that you have to have the utmost respect for. Now, again, it's always the bad seeds on both sides of this that ruin it for everybody, because that behavior then becomes some kind of paradigm for everybody to emulate, and it's dumb. So there are nurse practitioners who are not very good, just like there are doctors who are not very good, and they give the entire profession a bad name, especially when they overstep. And the cardinal sin in that space is not knowing what you don't know. So thinking you understand the pathophysiology of a situation, the intuition of a situation, but not having enough training and experience to know that you don't. And that, many doctors do have that. They do know when they don't know, and some don't. And the worst doctors actually are definitely worse than the best nurse practitioner, just because they don't have that insight and judgment.
Oh, and then also, Michael Ritz says, it's nice to hear this fight isn't just between paramedics and nurses. You know you nurses are shitty as fuck to the paramedics. I've heard it behind closed doors, and I've heard it out in the open. You're terrible to them. And while it may be sometimes deserved because of the extremes, I don't think it's always deserved.
So this all gets to this idea of dominator hierarchies, and we talked about this the other day on the show. A dominator hierarchy, I mean, there's somebody higher in the hierarchy than you that thinks they have more power, more knowledge, more control, more everything, and they dominate the levels underneath. Well, paramedics are near the bottom of the dominator hierarchy in medicine. Nurses, nurse practitioners, physicians in the dominator hierarchy. You know who's at the top of the fucking dominator hierarchy? The goddamn administrators. The ones with the MBAs that don't have clinical experience. They're at the top of the dominator hierarchy.
Shareholders. It never stops, people.
It doesn't stop. It doesn't stop. So with paramedics, it's the same thing. Like, here's a group that they're trained to do what they do. Their scope of practice is very much within the scope of their training. And it's the ones that try to overstep that because they don't know what they don't know. They fuck around in the field forever. They come in having done a bunch of shit when they should have just brought the patient in. That's just one example. Then, of course, the nurses will be judgy and the doctors will be judgy, etc. And that bad seed then sets an example. But the paramedics who practice at the top of their training and their license, that save lives every day, that are running into danger, right? Those how can you not celebrate that as part of a holarchy, meaning we're all part of this nested truth? And the doctors have a little more knowledge here on this particular line of development. The paramedics do things that the doctors don't do over here, and the nurses are here and here and here, and that's how it ought to be, because that's how reality is. It's a series of nested truths. Each is true but partial, and it shouldn't be a dominator hierarchy. And that's what it is in medicine. It's a dominator. That's how we treat it. And that's why we're so pissed off. And that's why something like this happens and a billion people send it to me. And I'll bet you, Tom, over the next week, I'm going to still get, because nobody watches the damn show, I'm going to get 1,000 of these messages. Did you see this, Z-Dog? You need to support nurses. And I'm like, I do, I have, I talked about it, and everyone can go fuck themselves.
Oh, and you get especially screwed because you're going to get messages that are, like, how dare you say that about nurse practitioners, you son of a bitch? And then you're gonna get messages that are like, bruh, you used to be a doctor, what happened to you? You're just an internet clown now. Fuck yourself.
So, first of all, fuck all y'all, okay? Second of all, yeah, that's exactly what's gonna happen, and that's the beautiful thing about getting to do what I do. I piss everybody off because I'm gonna tell the goddamn truth, and I'm gonna say it with a shit ton of curse words. Here's what the truth is, okay? When I'm on the physician groups on Facebook that are for physicians only, you have to have a medical license and go through the process to get on those groups, I hear the chatter. So many physicians support collaborative care. And when I go out live and I talk about Health 3.0, these are the frontline people in line to come and talk about it. They care about this. But the people who they're either insecure or they've had a bad experience with one of those bad apples, or they're just tired of the professional erosion. The idea that they worked so hard, they sacrificed so much, they mortgaged their future, all the things that we do in healthcare, right, to get ahead. Doctors do it times 10 because it's so goddamn hard. And by the way, we like it when people do recognize that it was a fucking hard route. When that erosion happens and you see others who have less training then trying to say, no, we're the same, that's when people get pissed, and you see it all over the boards. And they take a shit on me because they think I've sold out to big nursing. Like, as if that's a thing, right?
You guys also got to understand, I think people that aren't doctors got to understand the comments that doctors are under attack from all sides. We get shitty comments on Z's videos that are like, oh, you're a real doctor? All you told me was shit I could have learned on WebMD. You know what I mean? So the erosion of the doctor's role in society is going straight down the tubes. And if you're in the healthcare team and you know how hard they work and what they go through, and you're worsening it, then you are on the wrong side of history. And, you know, like Z would say, you can fuck yourself.
Go fuck yourself. Well, here's the thing. So what I'm hearing from you, Tom, is that all of us in healthcare should unite against those asshole patients that are the entire meaning of our existence.
They're the ones who are ruining it all.
They're ruining it all. And that's why Doc Vader's clip where he does the rant about the two people who were yelling at the Gainesville doc, Peter Gallagly, got so many views. It got like 400,000 views in a couple days because people were like, oh, finally, this guy's telling it like it is. These two manipulative, POSs come in and start attacking this doctor, and he finally snaps to protect his team, and the media takes a shit on him. So this is how physicians feel. This is how nurses feel. This is we're all under attack. We can't eat each other, you guys. We have to stick together.
And that's the word of the day, people. Z has a violin recital to get to, so we're going to cut this short. Share it if you agree with Z-Dog MD. If you don't, stalk him and possibly kill him. Okay?
I hate you.
It's only fair. It's the rule of the internet, man. It's the jungle.
I have children. You can't kill me.
You said some things, man. You got wild, bro. You said some things.
You said some things, Tom Hanber. No one wants to kill you because you're a big man bear. Listen, my kids have a violin recital. Like Tom said, I'm really excited because they're going to do a duet. Ooh. If you're good, I will YouTube livecast it. It's down the street, and I'm so excited because the Z-Pups are going to rock it. Listen, last word of the day, quickly. I love nurse practitioners, I love doctors, I love everyone on the healthcare team, and we should love each other. We should show love in the face of our own suffering. We should stick together in the faces of all the forces that are arrayed against us. Especially in the form of people who want to turn us into commodities. They love it when we fight. They love it when they pit us against each other, and we can't have it. We need to take care of each other. We need to train as best as we can and practice in the top of our training and our abilities and no further than that. And that means that we have to support and lift each other up, and we can do it. Guys, I've seen it happen. It continues to happen. I love y'all, and we are effing out.
Also, people that have doctorates in things like German polka history, get fucked. You're not a doctor.
I am a doctor, yeah. I am a doctor. It's true.
Yo, Z-Pack! This episode is made possible by the generous sponsorship of Athena Health. Athena Health partners with hospital and ambulatory clients to drive results. They offer network-enabled medical record, revenue cycle management, patient engagement, care coordination, and population health services to build Health 3.0. Yo, get back to the work you love doing. Athena Health. Free up.